From our 22 News Broadcast Center, this is 22 News in Focus.
Good afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Don Shipman. With the closures of schools and early education centers due to the COVID-19 crisis, parents and teachers are looking for resources to support teaching and learning at home. Schools are helping by providing curriculum, guidance, and computers and classroom conferencing too. But not all learning or teaching can be done by computer. There are plenty of ideas that parents can find online, but many are looking for resources within their own communities. And joining me today to talk about one local program is Chrissy Howard, the manager of Reading Success by Fourth Grade. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you, Don.
All right, so first, let's talk about the Reading Success by Fourth Grade program. When did it start and why?
About 10 years ago, the Davis Foundation came together with a group of really concerned people looking for something to do for children and families in the city of Springfield to help better our community. And they worked with a lot of consultants. They worked with a lot of experts in the field who told them literacy is the way to go. Improving early childhood literacy rates is a high indicator of high school graduation and lifelong success. So they started working on that as an initiative. I think it was about 2009 and 10. They came up with Cherish Every Child and a few iterations since then. Currently, Reading Success by Fourth Grade is a public-private partnership, and so I work at the Springfield Libraries, and we work in partnership with the Davis Foundation and a lot of community partners to help increase early literacy rates across the city.
So you mentioned Springfield there. Why has achieving grade level reading been such an issue in Springfield, and I guess other districts too, really?
Yeah, I think there's a lot across the state. There's big disparity in terms of the resources that all families have access to and what is available for children and families. I think all families are working 110% with their kids. I think educators are working as hard as they can. School districts are doing what they can. But I think it's still a challenge, and it's not, this silver bullet kind of answers. It's got to be localized. Solutions need to be come to in consensus and with community partnership. So I think it's a really, really complex machine that it's great that Springfield has Reading Success by Fourth Grade because it's something that we work as a community convener, and it's really important that this work be done together. And Springfield has that. Not every community does. So I feel like we're in a good place to move things forward. In the past 10 years, they've dedicated a lot of money and a lot of different time and energy from projects to be able to move early literacy rates forward. And we're always getting new kids every year, new babies are born. And so it's always a moving target as well, something we're working on together.
And I can only imagine that COVID-19 is making it even more of a challenge. We're going to talk more about that in a moment. But first, what is your role at Reading Success by Fourth Grade? And is it a program? Why did you get involved in all of this?
So Reading Success by Fourth Grade is it's a mutual convener. So we bring people together to learn, share, and advocate on early literacy. Our end goal is that all kids are reading by the end of third grade. Again, is that big predictor of later success in high school graduation and beyond. We want kids to be literate by being able to understand the world around them, and we want them to be able to write to communicate the world around them. My role, I manage the program. I get to work with all of our great community partners and help plan and strategize with the foundation, with the libraries, and again, we have a lot of partners that we're working with to kind of pick these projects and make sure that they have high impact for early literacy and for kids and families in Springfield. I came to this work. I'm a former teacher. I've been a literacy coach. I'm a former principal, so I come to this from a school perspective, but also I grew up in CHICOPEE and I live in Springfield myself. So,
your organization is focused on birth to fourth grade literacy. Why is reading beginning at infancy so beneficial?
Yeah, there's a lot in brain science and developmental science that talks about how kids' brains are so ripe. They're being formed. They're in these really early stages of hearing words and hearing the cadence of talk, and it's also an amazing bonding experience with young children. I have two young kids myself. To have them on my lap and cuddling and reading a book together, that common shared experience, it builds relationships with children that help build resiliency over the years. So it's a combination of both the bonding experience, but also them hearing words and how language sounds, looking at pictures and talking about them.
I like how you mentioned the cadence in a person's voice, and kids really do pick up on that so early on. It's so interesting. Let's talk about the research aspect of all of this. What's guiding your planning? MCAS, Department of Education, teachers, and parents?
There's a lot of resources out there, and I think this is where it's overwhelming. I'm a mom of a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. It's too much. There's a lot out there right now, and it's great, and everyone's working really hard to get as much as they can into the hands of parents. But it's also, it's like drinking from the fire hose, I think is the phrase, where you're just like bombarded with all these, watch this video, do this thing, go outside, stay inside, go out here, do this. And so the great part of this work that we're doing is we're curating these resources for families and saying, this one's local, try this one now. Giving small bite-sized pieces is sometimes a little more refreshing than being bombarded by so many resources. Resources we're looking at, some are put out by the schools. The Springfield Public Schools is really working amazingly hard to help families access these resources there's laptops available to kids that might otherwise not have access. There's internet hotspots. There's all different ways that the schools are kind of bringing things into the home. All the teachers are doing a really great job at providing resources for families and for their own kids in their classroom. What we're working on is localized, fun, relationship building, simple interactions that are going to help kids thrive, that are not necessarily academic per se, but that just help kids learn language and learn about the world around them.
We're going to learn about the Text 413 Families program once we return. You're watching 22 News in Focus. We're back here now, 22 News in Focus, and we're talking about a local community literacy support program, Text 413 Families, which is part of the Reading Success by 4th Grade initiative. And we're joined now by Chrissy Howard, the manager of Reading Success by 4th Grade. So, let's go right with it. Text 413 Families, what is it and how did it get started?
And in its early iterations, they were looking at ways that they could engage with families. And so through family focus groups and actually asking parents, the parents really said, here's my phone, text me. And that's how it came about. There are a lot of families who stick with the initiative, that stick with the texting. We have almost 4,000 families opted in Springfield and the surrounding area, as well as Holyoke as well. So we've expanded to Holyoke recently. And texts are offered in both English and Spanish. When you opt in, you can pick what language you'd like to receive them. But basically, it's just a coming together of local organizations who are partnering to bring local educational opportunities and interaction. So our texts are supported with partner organizations, the educational events for families. Our primary audience is birth to 8. So it's a lot of parents that are getting these. And so sometimes we do challenges. We ask them for pictures back about educational tips that we've sent out. So you saw if you go by, some of our tips are about playing and talking and singing, and we invite families to send back pictures of their activities, of them doing that work with their kids, and you can see it's a lot of fun to get those back.
It sounds like it's like almost like a network for families, for parents out there, caregivers.
Yeah, it's really awesome because they know the information they're getting has been vetted. There are no ads at all. The activities that we're promoting are all free or near free in the city of Springfield. They're very close by. So some are even, support groups for new moms or great activities on the quadrangle. And some are just really fun and engaging things to do with your kids at home.
So if I opt into this text, how many texts do I get a day?
Yeah, so I, as a parent myself, have opted into some things and get like 4 or 5 texts a day. A little much for me. And so we've gotten a lot of great feedback from families that we do about 2 or 3 texts a week. And so it's not too much. Yeah, all family has to do is opt in by texting 413-Families to the 313131 number. You can text in for Holyoke specific or for Spanish specific, and the texts come at a pretty great rate, not too much, not too little. We've hopefully found that sweet spot. It's great because you can text back questions, you can text back a picture. It's a way to engage.
And you mentioned, we were showing some of the pictures there of, of families working together there and working on different projects. What are some of those projects that you guys are putting out there?
So we actually had been doing them monthly in partnership with the Pride stores and Bob Bolduc over there. And they were giving us a $50 gift card every month to run a photo challenge to help families engage with their kids, whether talking, singing, doing different play activities. And we've ramped that up since the virus because so many families are home now. But finding really great ways to engage kids at home. We've done role playing, which is really important for kids in terms of talking and taking on roles of adults. If you've ever been served a stuffed animal restaurant, had a tea party, that's a great example of role playing. And so a lot of the pictures we get back were those kids and their families doing those activities. It was a lot of fun. We also have getting outside. How are we getting outside together, and how are we building things together? And so you'll see a lot of different really great ways that kids and families are outside playing.
And why is it important for children to, get outside and get that physical activity? And what are some of the ideas for people who may not have a big backyard, that live more, in a more public setting where there's public parks and stuff like that, especially, I guess, now too with COVID-19?
Yeah, it's as a mom of 2 young folks, it's hard to get out. And we live in Springfield, and there's a lot of urban nature, if you will. There's we can take walks, we can just run and jump and play on our sidewalk. I think people mistake being outside with being in wide open spaces, and we can be outside even on your front porch. As long as we're minding our social distancing. Those are really important things for kids to get fresh air, just for general health, to be physically active for everyone's sanity in the household, as well as developing language, gross motor skills, and fine motor skills, which are actually really important for building reading skills.
And what kinds of requests are you getting right now? And I guess too, as well, specifically when it comes to COVID-19? Can you repeat that? Sorry. Say that I was going to say, what kind of requests are you getting from parents right now as far as, materials or ideas specific to the COVID-19 pandemic?
So we've been working with a lot of different organizations in the area to send out information around where free food or free materials are offered, the lunch pickup sites for a text that we had sent out, as well as what additional supplementary work for schools that are fun and engaging. Pretty soon we'll have one coming out around cooking and family cooking, and how that can be a task that you do with your child that can help build their language, their math skills, but counting, measuring, but also that can be a really good relationship bonding experience. I think with this community almost trauma of being housebound or homebound, where it's going to be so important for kids to have a really solid relationship with the adults in their lives. And I think that is really the big takeaway. If you can't get all the worksheets done, it's really about building the positive relationships that you have with your kids and the kids in your family.
We're going to continue our conversation after the break. You're watching 22 News in Focus. We're back, 22 News in Focus, and today we are talking about literacy and learning resources for parents who are supervising homeschooling with Chrissy Howard, manager of Reading Success by Fourth Grade. So every fall, teachers know that some students will begin the new school year with academic levels lower than when they left for summer break. This is known as summer learning loss, and historically it impacts students from lower income families. The combined learning loss may even be greater beginning next fall because of COVID-19, much larger numbers, as many students aren't getting the guidance or the assistance that they would ordinarily receive in the classroom right now. So what are your concerns? What are you hearing from educators about learning loss, specifically with COVID-19?
Well, I think 6 months off of school, not being present in school is a really big deal. Schools are not closed. Teachers are working as hard as they can, but things happen. It's just not the same. And what we're hearing is a lot of educators, early educators, as well as at the grade school level, are concerned about the lack of access and follow through over the summer, through the spring now and then into the summer, where they will start in the fall. This is a conversation across the country right now and across the world. I think locally we're looking at how can we bridge the barriers to access, and how can we try to support the community to have access to the resources they would need to be able to do some of the summer work that they were able to do last year. There are a lot of summer programs in the city of Springfield, and they're working really hard to figure out ways to engage families in the same way or in a modified way that will help stem the summer learning loss. But I think it's a conversation across the country, especially weekly.
I mean, isn't it, I would suspect that, the next grade level in the fall is just going to look completely different for the students and for the teachers involved, no matter what.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter. I think even sometimes global pandemic is a great equalizer, and sometimes it exacerbates inequities that have been the case across the country. And the way that it equalizes is that no one's in school right now. The way that I think it's impacting families differently is that some families have resources at home that are more connected to a typical public school life. And I think that what we can do working together is try to figure out how we can help folks not necessarily emulate school. It's not, you don't want to have public school in your home, but you want to have learning opportunities to work and learn together with your kids. If you're able to, if you're not an essential employee or we're doing all kinds of work all day and you're work from home or whatever your situation is, but providing those resources to families, but also to community partners and educators if they're trying to do work virtually as well.
So as far, you mentioned, summer camps, summer school. What's available locally? And I guess too, I mean, will school districts even offer a summer school program?
Yeah, I think all of that right now is so up in the air. We typically in the past have sent out by now a summer program guide where all of our summer programs have would design a program, and we'd send it out to families, and it's a very broad reach. A lot of families would be selecting their summer programs at this time. I think one of the reasons that we're moving to an online platform, the 413 Cares platform, is that programs can update their information as things change. The problem with the printed materials is that once it's printed, it's kind of it. The bonus about working from an online capacity is that if something changes within their program, they're able to update that as quickly as technologically possible. I think a lot of families, my daughter's summer program is closed. I don't really know what we're up to for the summer. We're kind of waiting to hear from our different programs and our different summer options. It's totally in the power of the programs to do whatever they think is best. Some have already canceled, some are still trying to flush out, and some folks are looking at modified delivery system. Is some online, is some in person. We'll just see, what the governor says about opening up, but I think people are really open to having support in the summer. As a parent, I know I am.
I was going to say, I know parents are looking for support. How can parents determine if their child is reaching their grade level in reading and other subjects?
Call their teacher. Their teacher is an expert in their academic field, and definitely I would be in frequent contact. I'm in frequent contact with my daughter's teachers. It's really important that I keep those lines of communication open, especially if I think they're behind. Every school is going to be different. Every district, every program might be different. But like you said earlier, things are going to be so different for everyone in the fall. Like what are expectations in terms of where kids are coming in based on what they've had in the summer and what our summer options are. Everything just up in the air, and we're just trying to be a resource for families as we get new information, giving it them directly and trying to support what they're doing to help their children over.
I know that a lot of parents are struggling at home just to make that connection with their kids about learning. How do you encourage children, and at the same time, you don't want to get in huge arguments over the kitchen table at the same time. And I know that's happening, but it's difficult. So how do you encourage kids at this point?
I think there's a lot of screen fatigue. It's in our house. I can tell you what I would do. I think the biggest things that families and caregivers can do for their kids is be there for them emotionally and supportively, and to acknowledge that things are hard, and that learning doesn't always have to be a pencil to paper. That learning can be reading a book together and talking about it, taking a walk and narrating what you see. Speaking and listening are core reading standards in every grade level. And those are things that we're really good at as family members that we can do with our kids. Play is the work of childhood. It's a Mr. Rogers quote. It's also like my personal motto. But play is so important. Role playing, turn taking, sharing. And I mean play all the way up to high school. Like, play is what kids should be doing as a form of learning. So I think reading with kids, playing with them, and taking time one-on-one just to talk to them. And
sometimes you just have to cut your losses and say, you know what, we're going to learn how to bake a cake today, and that's going to be the lesson. Yeah. There we go. Final word.
Bake a cake. That's the answer.
Final word right after this. Our program today. Thank you for watching at home. If you missed the program, you can find it online at WWLP.com. Have a good day.